My name is Iolo Williams. I'm a naturalist first and foremost, really, and a conservationist, but also a broadcaster. I've been involved in this area for 6 or 7 years now because it's such an important area. I came down, I had a walk around and I was so impressed with it. Some people might say, well, it's only a lump of, few fields. What does it matter? Well, it actually matters a lot. First of all, from a conservation point of view, it's such a cracking place. So not only was it really important for wildlife, it was vitally important for local people as well. It was their green area, it was their playground. And of course, what you've got here, you've working to the Caerffili landscape master plan. And it sounds complex, but it isn't. It's common sense, really. Not just is it bringing everyone together, but you're looking at the landscape as a whole, and you're looking at the different interests here, potentially conflicting interests. You've got mountain bikers and walkers, you've got horseback riders, you've got people walking their dogs, you've got wildlife enthusiasts, but they've all come in under this one umbrella to embrace this whole project. And I don't think I can think of another project in Wales that's done that as successfully as you've done it here. It's absolutely brilliant, and I think a blueprint for people elsewhere as well. Now, one of the very important aspects of this whole project is land management. And land management, as a conservationist, I know, is absolutely vital. You can't let the land go. It needs to be managed to encourage and enhance the biodiversity, the wildlife that's on that land. Take the commons, for example. You can't let it go, it'll end up as woodland eventually, and you need that diversity, you need that mosaic of habitats. This project has pulled in grazing animals to graze certain area. That is really important because a lot of our grasslands are disappearing, and they're incredibly rich botanically. You need the bracken, but you don't want too much bracken. It's also a fire risk, of course, so you've called in farmers, you've called in land managers to make sure that areas are mown in there to cut that up. So if there is a fire, then it's contained, it doesn't burn the whole common. That is vitally important. Take a woodland as well. Woodland management is really vital. For example, at Rupera, they've taken out some non-native woodland. They're able to replant new areas with deciduous woodland. So they're actually enhancing it. And whenever the trails, the paths are enhanced, it's done in a way which improves it for the users, for the runners, the walkers, the bikers, but it doesn't damage the ecology of that site. And that is vitally important, and that is something you'll see running through the whole project. It's to improve, enhance, look after the landscape, not damage it. Some of the woods, some of the timber from here, it's been cut down, it's been taken away, it's been processed, it's been shaped, and yet it's come back and used locally once more as signposts, as finger posts, rubbing posts. And the critical thing here is that local craftsmen have been used. That means that there's money coming into the local economy. So it's a full circle. It starts here and it ends here, and it provides much needed funding in the local economy as well. Now, there are several key factors to this whole project, and one of them, and one that's really close to my heart, is interpretation and education. And there are several things that are being done here. There's the signposts, of course, signage showing paths where you can go. There's the rubbing posts, they're amazing. And then in the future, there's going to be an interpretation board in every local village here, and that's so that visitors can come, they visit these wonderful, beautiful, scenic villages, but also they learn, actually, do you know what, there's so much more here. Caerffili Castle, of course, is just down the road. People visit it and then leave. They shouldn't, they should stay. They should come and have a look and see what else is here. And the knock-on effect of all of that is they'll stay, they'll have meals, they might want bed and breakfast, and that puts more money again into the local economy. Because one of the big things you have to ask is, where does the money from this come from? Well, actually it comes from Welsh Government. Hats off to them, as part of the Sustainable Management Scheme delivered through Caerffili Borough Council with all the other partners. And it's a brilliant example of how all these different bodies can come together and actually make something work. It'd be fantastic to think that, I could come back here in 25 years' time and see that the groups are still working closely together, managing the land all around me for the good of wildlife and people. And it'd be brilliant to know that, some of the people involved, and maybe some of the youngsters that have just been pulled in now to plant trees or to do some of the activities up here, if they are pushing these groups forward in 25, 30, 40 years' time. And I'd like to think that I could maybe come up here if I'm still alive, an old man with my grandkids, and still hear night jars on the common, here on Rudry Common, and see the linnets flying overhead, and just see the wildlife as it is now, and maybe even better than it is now. And that's what you can see from up here, is how they are linked. And again, linked not just for the wildlife, but for the people too. Because if you want to go out for a walk, if all you've got is one bit of common, you can walk around that and then that's it. But you've got so much more here. You can walk through woodland, you can walk through bracken, you can walk out through grassland onto the open hill, back into woodland again, down by the river. So it's all interlinked and it's vital, but it's so important that you've got these lungs, these green areas, these lungs for these people, not just the people, but for everything and everybody.